So a lot of you have been asking about how to rent an apartment in London. And the truth is it's so complex to rent a property in the UK that I thought instead of me just talking about it, let me get the most common questions that I get asked pretty much on a daily basis and share them with you. Make sure you do stay tuned because I'm also going to be sharing with you the best tips when renting in this very competitive market. So the first thing you've got to do is determine your budget, more specifically your affordability ratio. If you're going through an estate agency, for sure they're going to be using a referencing company. That referencing company is going to try and make sure that you earn at least 2.5 times your salary compared to the rent of the annual rent, that is. So as an example, let's say your rent is £3,000 per month. So that's £36,000 for the year. You're going to have to be earning at least £90,000 to be able to be approved for this particular property. Don't forget that you'll also need 5 weeks security deposit, which would be probably around about 3.5 grand. So when it comes to your first payment, you're going to need £3,000 for your rent and around about 3,500 for your security deposit. There are no agency fees. Here in the UK, it is illegal for any agent to charge you a fee. Of course, unless they're acting as a relocation agent for yourself. Okay, so if you can't prove your UK income for whatever reason, be it because you're in between jobs or you're a student, you've got a few options. The first one is going to be having a UK guarantor. That UK guarantor will need to be earning at least 3 times the rental amount. So using the £3,000 rental a month example, that's £36,000 per month for the year, and yet for the UK guarantor, they need to be earning around about £110,000. Now, there are some companies that do specialise in providing guarantors. However, in my experience, landlords don't typically like this, especially in prime London. Now, the third and the best option perhaps will be paying a large sum of money of rental in advance. Typically, that's going to be 12 months in advance. So when it comes to areas in London, I'm going to be biased. I was born in North London and I believe that the best neighbourhoods are going to be in North London, but also in Central London. You've got areas and neighbourhoods such as Angel. In North West, you've got Hampstead and then Belsize Park. And you've got some great little areas also in central London, such as Fitzrovia and Bloomsbury. And of course, you've got more affluent areas such as Notting Hill, Holland Park, Knightsbridge and Mayfair. And if you like kind of more of the hustle and bustle, you've got the likes of Camden Town, but also to the east, you've got Shoreditch and Hoxton. So it really depends on what's a good fit for you. So a lot of people say get a short let, like an Airbnb, to scope out an area for a week or two. I don't particularly agree. I believe that you can get a real feel of an area by just having lunch there, staying there for a few hours, perhaps visit the area one morning and perhaps visit the area again in the evening. See if it meets all your needs in terms of transport and how you feel in terms of whether it's safe or not. Absolutely. So let's define sort of what you get more for your money in what areas. I'm talking about prime London. So within prime London, you've got some fantastic areas that are just next to affluent areas. As an example, you've got Notting Hill. And I'm seeing more and more people going towards sort of the neighbouring neighbourhoods from Notting Hill and Holland Park, such as Shepherd's Bush. You also have the likes of Bayswater. You get more for your money. When you look at places like Marylebone, which is also expensive, if you go further up, you've got Maida, which is a fantastic neighbourhood. Another example, North London with Angel and Upper Street. Great area, very expensive, but people tend to be going more towards Highbury, which again is safe. Has nice shops and restaurants and cafes, so there are places where you get more for your money. The best thing you could do is speak to a local agent and they'll be in the best position to advise in terms of these neighbourhoods which are still safe and you get more for your money. So there is no simple answer to this because the truth is listings are scattered across different websites. I guess one of the leaders is going to be Rightmove, then followed by Zoopla, and you've got On The Market and other micro websites such as Spare Room and Gumtree. Do be careful, there are scammers targeting all of these websites, and just make sure you follow the safety rules that they have on these platforms. And of course, contact local agents directly. I'd say at least try to make good relationship with a handful of agents, but otherwise, most if not all of the listings are going to be on these portals. And if you are ready to make the big move to London and looking to have a chat with a consultant, make sure you book an appointment directly with me. You do have the link in the description below and you'll have direct access to my calendar. So viewing a rental property is actually quite straightforward. If you've seen a listing with an agent, you just pick up the phone or you drop them an email and they'll let you know the available dates. Make sure you are ready to go because here in London it's very, very competitive. So whatever dates they give you or times, just say, yep, I'll be ready to go. Now, when you actually go and view these properties, again, be ready, have all your paperwork in place. If you're not sure what paperwork you need, make sure you check out one of our videos, which will give you all the breakdown. And when it comes to offers, it could be different depending on what agent you use. But typically it will work like this. You will submit your offer online. You won't have to put any deposits down at that point. They communicate that to the landlord. If the landlord agrees, you will then have to fill out another form, in which case you do have to pay a holding deposit. Typically that's going to be a 1 week holding deposit. At that point, then your offer is going to be accepted subject to reference and contract. You go through all the referencing process. Now, if that's approved, then you're all good. At some point, they're going to ask you for the rent in advance. They're going to ask you for the rest of the security deposit, because your 1 week holding deposit will make part of that security deposit or the rent. And then you sign your tenancy agreement. So a lot of people do ask this question because at the end of the day, you look at all these rental properties, you can see them online. Why do I need a relocation agent? Relocation agent can bring a lot to the table. Local knowledge, access properties that perhaps are not online. They have better relationships with agents. So that means more properties for you, but also when an offer's put in place, they know that relocation agent and they know their clients are serious. And overall, the rental process here is just so complex, as I've already shared with you, that you get to save yourself time, stress, headaches, and you just let this relocation agent do their job. In many times as well, they'll also go and preview properties as well for you. So you're also saving money in terms of transport. A relocation agent also negotiates on your behalf and can save you money, even with competitive markets like today. And even using a relocation agent isn't going to guarantee that you're going to get the property that you put the offer in. However, at the end of this video, I am going to share with you a tip that's very, very effective. Okay, when you're going to go through the referencing process, especially with an agency, one of the things they will not do is accept a reference directly from you. They will ask you for contact details of your employer, contact details of your current landlord or previous landlords. My advice, however, is have 3 months of bank statements ready. If you have any pay slips, have your 3 months pay slips ready. Give a heads up to your landlord and your employer. The last thing you want is to have delays because they don't even know that a third party is asking and requesting details from them, and then it just becomes a week or 2 week reference. That's the last thing that you want in such a competitive market. Your ID, your visa, I would say those are the most important things that you need at this point. Well, the most basic cost is going to be your rental and your council tax. Council tax is going to depend from borough to borough and neighbourhood and size of the property. Typically it's going to be around about £200 thereabouts. Of course, you've got your utility bills. So most rents in London at least do not include any bills at all. So you've got your gas, your water, your electric, your Wi-Fi and so forth. So whatever utility bills you'll be using. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, sort of service charges, the building insurance and everything else, that's really down to the landlord. But content insurance should be down to you as a tenant. So this has got to be the most common question that I get when people view properties. And the answer is very straightforward. Put your best and final offer at the very beginning. And that way you have no regrets. If you feel comfortable and confident that that is what you can afford, and you can be the best judge as to whether that property is worth that based on other properties that you viewed, then if it's declined for whatever reason, you can walk away with peace of mind knowing that you did the best you can from the very beginning. The truth is, in the current competitive market, you may not get that opportunity again. The second tip is going to be to make sure that you have all your paperwork ready. Make sure you send that across with your offer and people will take you seriously. And I'll share my third and best tip at the end of this video, so keep watching. So generally, from the time that you actually put your offer and it's been accepted, the referencing process should take around about 3 to 5 working days. The truth is that any delays are going to come from your current employer or even your landlord, because everything else is pretty much instantaneous. So if you're making your rental application through an estate agent, the estate agent will be able to tell you whether they manage the properties in-house or whether the landlord actually manages the property themselves. Which one's best? I've been asked this question a lot of times. You have landlords that manage the property very professionally, very well, and you have that personal contact with the landlord. On the other hand, we have property managers in estate agencies that are very professional, very efficient, very personal, and look after the tenants very, very well. So either or. Okay, so here's my best tip for people who are renting out an apartment in London in this very competitive market. First off, when you're making that offer, make sure you create a profile of yourself, whether it's a Word document or a hard copy. Make sure you add a photo and you tell a little bit more about yourself rather than just your salary and how much you can earn. Also add as to your hobbies and what you'll be doing and why you like the apartment and how you're going to actually be looking after your apartment and how you envision yourself making this your home. Believe me, emotion taps in even with hard, cold, cash investors like landlords, and it'll go a long way. It's a tip that I've used many times and it works almost every single time that we put an offer in. Again, if you want more tips and more advice, you have that link in the description. Make sure you book an appointment with myself for any advice.